Welcome to Learning to Glow, a show about wellness, skin health, and self-development. I'm your host, Jess. I'm a mom, entrepreneur, and skincare expert. I'm so excited to share tips on how to achieve healthy skin and bring amazing guests in the field of health, fitness, aging gracefully, and personal growth. Let's explore all different ways we can take care of ourselves as women, both inside and out, to truly shine. So let's get glowing. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Learning to Glow podcast. I'm your host, Jess. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. We have an amazing wellness episode for you. We have guest Michaela, who is a wellness coach, business mentor, and a podcast host of two podcasts, Health with Michaela and Two Sober Girls podcasts. She's also a single mom to her almost 7-year-old daughter. Michaela guides women to heal, thrive, and unlock their full potential in all areas of their life. In her one-on-one coaching, courses, and podcasts, she delves into a wide range of topics from health and wellness to beauty, skincare, parenting, manifestation, daily routines, building an online business, sobriety, spirituality, and transformation. It's all about empowering you to take control of your life and become the best version of yourself. With her multifaceted approach, she's your go-to source for living your best life inside and out. We had so much fun talking about all of these wellness topics that she is such an expert in, and all of the things that I love talking about on my podcast as well. We talked about how yoga was her entryway into the wellness world and how it transformed her life and fueled her to keep learning. I loved her wellness toolbox that she shared with us, and she shared some of her favorite tools for a healthy lifestyle. She sprinkles in throughout her day. She's a busy mom, so she still gets in her wellness time. It just looks a little different than it used to. She shares her journey with alcohol with us and sobriety and how it's transformed her life. I love when we discuss sleep. She and I are very similar in our beliefs of sleep, and she gave us some really practical and manageable tips to have a great day with morning routines and evening routines. This is such a great episode. I know you're going to like it if you're also into wellness. And go ahead and follow Michaela on social media, all the behind the scenes action. And you can follow her at Health with Michaela, and make sure to check out her podcast as well. I love her Instagram. She's always sharing so many great tips, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to go and do that. We even talked about like habit stacking, and one of the things she does is she loves to put her legs up against a wall at the end of the day and put on a red light mask. We have the same red light mask that we love, and I'm all about skincare and healthy, natural ways to boost collagen. So I'll link the one that we both love in the show notes as well. And also, I want to thank my listeners who are leaving reviews. I so appreciate you. Thank you so much. Our latest review is titled Perfect Podcast for Busy Women. I found a podcast that I love and can listen to on the go. This podcast is hosted by Jess, an entrepreneur, educator, and lifelong learner. She explores everything from nutrition, natural healthcare, menopause, fitness, skincare, and more with renowned special guests in the health and fitness industry. A new topic every week will keep you coming back for more. Thanks so much for taking the time to leave this review. I so appreciate it. And I love hearing what you think. If you haven't left a review, please do. Let me know what your favorite episode has been or any topics that you want to hear in the future. I love your feedback. And I hope you enjoyed this episode with Michaela. Here she is. Michaela, it's so good to see you. And thank you so much for being on our show today. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
So excited. After a few techie issues, we made it through, and we're here and we're excited. So I would love, what I like to do with my podcast is just, if you could introduce yourself, tell us about what you do, any other like fun facts you want to share with us, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it earlier, and I'm like, I do so many different things. And I think in each era of my life, I was focused on, I was a yoga teacher, then I was teaching meditation, then I was doing hair and makeup, and like I've done it all. I was a bartender for 10 years. And like, so it's really hard for me to put it in like one sort of umbrella. And so I am multi-passionate, but the last 8 or 9 years or so, I've been a wellness coach. I do incorporate my meditation and yoga practices and sort of like this holistic approach to wellness. And most recently, I'm almost 2 years sober. And during that journey, in the beginning of it, I met my co-host and we sort of just like magnetized and bonded over like, I'm sober. No, and so we started working together and one thing fell into another. And I was like, let's just do a podcast because we were having so many amazing conversations that I wasn't having with my friends or with anyone. And I'm like, this just needs to be out there in the world. And so Two Sober Girls podcast was born and it's just been skyrocketing. Like it's just, I think women in general are so hungry for these types of conversations. And, we cover it all. We talk about healing, we talk about wellness, we talk about beauty, just improving your lifestyle. AA, she's an AA, I'm not. And so I was able to get sober just by focusing on my wellness. And that was part of my journey. And I mean, even looking back, part of my story is I've had lots of childhood trauma growing up in Europe, Slovakia. And I came here when I was 12. And by the age 13, 14, I started drinking and smoking. And really, it allowed me to numb and to be upbeat and social because I was kind of like always quiet and I was bullied and all of those things. And so that was like my way to like treat myself, and to be in this world with everybody else. And that carried on for a really long time and it snowballed into an eating disorder and then horrible relationships. But then luckily I found yoga at 2021. And so I started at that point living these two different lives. Like I was this party girl and then I was this like yoga girl who like was hosting retreats and teaching yoga at libraries. And I just was like, this is such good information, but then I couldn't relate to my friends over here. So I was just kind of doing both for almost a decade. So it was
Wow.
exhausting. It was really exhausting, but I never stopped learning. Like that ended up overpowering. Like at the end, I really stopped drinking around 30 when I had my daughter. And then I'm 38 now. And within 30 to 38, I was able to not binge drink anymore. So that was cool. But like I still was not satisfied. But in my 20s, it was just, I was exhausting myself with my lifestyle. And thank God I found wellness. And then I studied nutrition, became a health coach at around 29. And so, but the parenting sort of like tipped it where I was like, okay, I cannot live those sort of two lives. And I just rewrote my story. And that's part of one of the things I do with my clients is, we hold on to these identities that we have or that we bring with us, especially when we're wounded and we don't know what we're doing and we think that's who we are, and I think the path of discovering yourself is a lot of work. It could take years and years sometimes, but it's so worth it, to just have that peace and know that you're actually able to create your life because we are.
Oh, wow. There's so many things that you said.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I mean, just all of that, all of what you do. I mean, we talk about all of these things on this show because they're so important. And I mean, we could talk for hours about all of the things that you're interested. I feel the same. I'm like so multi-passionate about, health and wellness. And there's so many different facets of it. And it really is that mental piece that we've been talking about more on my show because like you said, when you were 12, you were using alcohol to cope, basically, to
Yeah.
cope with what you've been through and just to get through. And it like they say, it helps until it doesn't. And, with so it sounds like finding yoga was kind of your maybe introduction to like this wellness space. Is that true?
Yeah, I always say yoga was my gateway to wellness because first of all, I got to I remember I got DVDs because I saw somebody do it and I was like, what are you doing? And the girl was like, oh, it's called yoga. Like she was like stretching on a bed. And I was like, that's really weird. And I remember getting videos, purchasing some like DVDs, and then like I put it on and I practiced. And it was really weird because it was so subtle. But I was like, I've never thought to put my body in this way. I've never thought to breathe the way they teach you to breathe. And the longer I started doing it, I started realizing I'm like, wow, I'm not breathing correctly. And then just noticing like when I'm stress, which was a lot of the time and you don't even think you're stressed at 20, or 19 or whatever. You're like, this is life. And I never stopped to think about how I'm feeling ever, really. And so yoga allowed me to pause and listen and also like think about what the things that I want. And I remember reading The Secret again early on, like 20 was like such a pivotal time for me. And it was also the hardest time of my life. I had a breakdown. Like I was just like spiraling out of control. But then there was just this, I don't even know what to describe it. It was like this divine intervention. And I was pushed to sort of like stop everything and pause like all of these like things that I was doing and just look inward. And it was a hard time. It was a really hard time, as we all know. Anything, like stuff like that, like everything in my world just crumbled, and I had to sort of build back up. And I still didn't have all the tools, but I did have the yoga part, and I had this yearning of there's more to this, there's spirituality, I started reading all the texts, and I remember like going to New York and just going to the Barnes and Noble and spending like all day there and just reading and getting books and just really educating myself, because all of this stuff was so new to me. And at home it wasn't talked about, with my friends it wasn't talked about, and I was just like, there's this other world. And I was like alone exploring it for a really long time. So I know this journey can be lonely, because I think everybody's just, around us is on autopilot. And unless you're blessed to be born in a family full of wellness and these, talks of philosophy and theories, like just like expanding your palate and your mind, then you're going to have to find it on your own. And then you find your communities. And, now all my friends, I have, psychiatrists and psychologists and health coaches and like all sorts of people that I could just have, on speed dial to just talk about these things that come up for me and have these conversations, which I think is, are really important. But yeah, yoga was amazing. And it's funny, like my 30s, I was teaching private yoga up until I had my daughter. So I was like 2 weeks into like about to give birth, and I was still teaching private, just, I had a few clients. And then 2 weeks after I gave birth, like I started teaching again. And it was just like, it sort of always like weaved in my life. I no longer teach privates any like the way I used to, but it's still like part of my daily routine. Like I need to put my legs up on the wall every single day for 10 minutes at the end of the night. And my daughter sees me do it. I breathe. I stretch my body because I sit down a lot, working from home. So it's just constant sitting. And so the yoga stretches have been amazing. Also to release stress. And yeah,
I
love
love
it.
that. I just got back from a yoga retreat, my first ever yoga retreat. And
Nice.
I used to do yoga more frequently than I do now. And it just kind of re-energized me. I'm like, I need to like do yoga again, because it's just, there's something about yoga. Yoga at first, when I, first started in going to 24-hour fitness and taking a yoga class, like I didn't get the hype really. And then I started to learn more about it, and I was like, oh, wow, it's so much more than it's not just exercise. That's just one little piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was attracted to, all of the other stuff, because that is that is like you said, it's a way to heal. It's a way to just go deeper and grow. There's so much to it that is beyond just like getting a good flow series, and
Yeah.
that's what I was more interested in. And now I'm like, okay, yoga could be, like you said, I could do some stretches at night. I don't have to do something that's too hard, or as far as like the workout part, I can just do something where I focus on my breath, and that's
Yeah.
yoga.
Yeah.
So
Yoga, I've weaved it into my day where I know, I'm busy. I do a lot of different things. I'm also a mom she's almost 7 years old. So we have a really full life. We travel a lot. And the breath piece is such a huge component, the breath, the mindset, also your posture. So like, I feel like it gave me such a good foundation where I don't take like hour-long classes anymore. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Maybe once or twice a month I will, but I still get those benefits because I feel like it's a mindset. And when you do it for so long, let's say you give it your all for a couple of years, you no longer need to like be so rigid about your practice, because it almost becomes who you are, and it weaves into your day of how you move, of how you think of life, or of how you breathe and how you sleep, everything, you know.
Yeah,
So,
I
yeah,
remember.
I haven't
Go
talked
ahead.
about yoga in a really long time, but I'm like, it is such a profound tool. I
It
use it as
is.
a tool. And you know, to sort of bring it back full circle, is I used to use alcohol and weed as a tool, or relationships, or shopping, or going out. Like that was my tool of coping, of handling emotions, of, you know, being able to escape. And that was like my first big tool. And I have yet, you know, I have now, I build my toolbox to be so beautiful and rich with all of the things. And that's one of the things, you know, we talk about, you know, in sobriety, as well as, you know, building your sobriety toolbox. We just did a master class on that. I have a master class on building your wellness toolbox. Like we need these, and sometimes they're physical, sometimes they're mental, sometimes it's a mindset. Like it's a variety of things, and we have to, with tools, we have to use them, right? If you have the right tools and you know how to use them, it's possibilities are endless, really.
It's so true. Somebody told me, I think it was a yoga teacher, that it's easy to be mindful in your on your mat. It's when you like get in your car after the yoga class and then somebody cuts you off. Like that's when you use it.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about the tools and the toolbox, but I would love you to share. You said that you had that period of about a decade where you were like, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm doing my yoga, but you still had that other part of your life where you're using alcohol and it's not serving you. You can tell, like, when is that point where you're like, okay, I'm done? Like, was there something that was like a jumping off point, or were you just like, this doesn't match up with who I want to be? Or what was that process like in your journey?
I mean, when you look at it from like an age perspective, I guess it is linear, but it's really not a linear thing. There was many times in my 20s where I was like, alcohol just sucks and I don't want to drink. And there was periods where I didn't drink for a year or two, like even in my
Mhm.
early 20s. And then, you know, I would get a group of friends, and we would travel the world and go out to the city, to the hottest clubs. Like, so that to me was like, that was like the hottest thing I can do for myself. Like that was like, you know, I was like, I made it, you know. But then I remember like coming home and being exhausted, and then the next 2 days, and I'm prone to like really low moods or anxiety, and it would just like turn the volume up on both of those things. But I didn't think it was because of alcohol. So like it's weird. Like now looking back, I can see it was also me not knowing how to cope. Like that whole thing about not having the tools. I really didn't have the tools. But the thing that sort of tipped it over was I was really consistent with education, learning. I've read probably every self-help book, every, you know, spiritual text. Like I was just like, I was in it and I loved it. And but I didn't apply it 100% because of my lifestyle. So it's like something is off, you know. And when I went to IIN, which is Institute for Integrative Nutrition, to become a health coach, this was like 28, 29, it like sort of clicked, where we did talk about a holistic approach. And there was like things that you know, a book can't give you this whole big view on life. You sort of have to go through it. And it's sometimes, most of the times, we don't follow things that are in the book. We're just reading it, and it's like kind of like surface level. Well, when I went through the training, like I had to do a lot of the work, and I had to have these conversations and aha moments. And so I think that was a pivotal moment. And then right after, I ended up getting pregnant. And so that ended up being like, okay, I get to rewrite my story, and like, how do I want my 30s to be? And so just as I forgot to say, you know, when I read this, The Secret, in my 20s, my early 20s, I remember the exercise of writing down your perfect life, you know. And I read this paper years ago, and it was like, that was what my life ended up being. And it was talking about like, I want to travel the world, I want to go here, I want to do this, and then I want to wake up and drink green juices in the morning. And I was like not doing that at all. I was like not healthy. I was eating fast food, you know, far from it. But I had this vision for myself, you know. And I also talk about this in coaching, like connecting to your future self, is we all have that vision inside of us that is there that is a gift, but we have to spend time with her and we have to explore, like, what does she want? Like, what are the things? Because I think we're not told enough that we can create our own reality. It takes time, it takes effort, and it's hard. But
Mm.
so it's also hard not living your, like, the life that you want. Both things are hard. So it's like, choose your heart. Um, and so, yeah, I find life to be a really fun adventure that's really hard at times.
Yes, it is. I know it's so funny too with the thinking of your future self. It's something that I've been hearing people talk about more and more, and it's true. Like either way, like we're gonna have an outcome, and it's like, do we want to participate in making the outcome what we want? And it's a lot of times it's just being aware of the thoughts that we're thinking, and that it's so like just automatic. And I think people, it's so hard to like pay attention to that and be like, oh, wait a minute, that's not just fact, that's just my chatter. And I think being able to have those practices, that's why I'm so interested in learning more about manifestation and all of that, because there's so many great tools like in those teachings, of what you can do to just, even if it's just like, I want to have a good day today. I want to start my day off right. So when I get out of bed, instead of being like, which I've done many times, you're like, I don't want to, like, you're negative already starting, like, to be able to recognize that and
Yeah.
change it, because we can.
Yeah. No, and that's a big piece. It's the mindset, and the morning routine is such a big part of it, of how you wake up sort of sets the tone for the day. And, I have this practice even with my daughter, is I end the day and I begin the day with things that I'm grateful for, with manifestation. And I've I've been a good manifester, I gotta say. Like, I can manifest things, and I think it's just understanding what it really is. And what manifestation is allowing yourself to be in that state of what you want. It's so simple. I mean, it's, on that level, it's really simple. But on the day-to-day level, with having so many unconscious thoughts, and your unconscious sort of running the show, like,
Right.
you might think you want something, but then your unconscious, for me, I know it was like feeling unworthy and not feeling enough, and all of these things from growing up and having tons of trauma from
Mm.
childhood, didn't have that sort of sit down with myself or with anybody to say, no, like, you can actually achieve these things and have these things. And so that ended up being my own job. And it's, I also call it like my own little meetings that I have with myself in the morning on my meditation chair, because, you know, setting your mindset up for what you want, it's kind of just like preparing yourself for these things. So then when you are in the real world and you see opportunities or you meet people, like, it's not by chance. It's, we are the directors and the writers of our own story. And I think most of us don't understand that. We think the world is just kind of running the way it is. And while it is for individuals kind of running their own stuff, we have our own powers as well. No matter how much stuff is happening out there in the world, I always say, like, yes, there's always been, even in the history of time, there's always been wars and really bad things happening, but we still are allowed to feel happy and loved and peaceful. Like, that is our birthright. And I think all of the external stuff happening sort of like wants us to put us in a fear state. And so our job is to sort of come back to that love state that we truly are. And that comes with the spiritual practice and having that daily practice with yourself. It's not just like, oh, one time I'm going to pray or meditate and I'm good. Like, no, you have to make it a consistent practice.
I know a lot of people struggle with meditation, and I know that's something that you talk about on your Instagram, and it's part of your daily life. So that is obviously a tool that you can use in your wellness journey and also your sobriety journey. When I first started my wellness journey, I had already been in the skincare industry for years, working on client skin and as an educator for multiple skincare brands. When I learned about how the toxins in our personal care and beauty products could have a negative impact on our health, I knew I needed to make a change. I was used to the result-driven products that I was working with, and I was not happy with the natural products on the market at that time. Although they were safer and cleaner, they did not meet my expectations for results. I created Simply Just Skincare to deliver the results my clients demanded from their products while using natural, toxin-free ingredients. You can check out my clients' results and reviews on my website, simplyjustskincare.com. In 30 days, my clients have reported more hydrated skin, less appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, and more of an overall glow. Our top sellers include our Repair Toner, our Hydrating Undo Serum with hyaluronic acid, and more. I am offering my listeners 20% off their first order with code PODCAST. Check it out in the link in my show notes to get glowing today. What does your meditation practice look like? Like what does it look like? Is it every day? Like it's non-negotiable? What does it look like for you?
So I want to say, I sit down for 20 minutes a day, every day at 10 a.m. It does not happen that way. My meditation practice, I feel like at this point, because, I've studied all types of meditation. I've done TM with a guide. I've done guided. I record my own meditations. I have a meditation course on how to meditate. And so I've recorded my own future self there's such a variety. And so when people tell me like, oh, meditation's not for me, I cannot stop my thoughts. And I'm like, that is not about that at all. I feel like people have this misconception that when you meditate, like all thoughts just sort of like stop and you get to just be at peace. Like there are little moments of it like that where in a long enough practice, you can achieve that state of stillness and just this pure energy running through you. But it's definitely not in every single session. And so, but my practice recently, or just in general, is starting the day with gratitude. That to me is a form of meditation, because I haven't got out of bed. My brain is still in that alpha state where I can still sort of like just guide it of how I want to feel. And so like, as I'm laying down, I don't even have to have my eyes open, but I'm awake and I'm like sort of alert in the dreamy state still. Again, meditate, gratitude. So thinking of 3 to 10 things. And what's crazy, I noticed the other day, I was thinking of 10 things before I got up. And then I tell my daughter some of the things. And all day I ended up looking at things that I was grateful for. And that's the abundance. That's the manifestation. And when you live in that state and you're just grateful for everything and are moving through the day like that, it's so powerful. It really is. And so that's the sort of state that I like to like live in. And so even I could be washing dishes and I could be grateful to have dishes to wash and the water and my legs to stand, like a vision, like all of these things as I'm washing dishes. And that could be a form of meditation. So I know a lot of your listeners are moms and we're busy. So no, I don't have time every single day to sit in my meditation corner and meditate for 20 minutes to an hour. Sometimes I do like to habit stack though. So at the end of the night, like I mentioned, I do legs up the wall, and then I have this red light LED mask. I know you probably,
I have one. Yeah.
Lux. Yes.
Yes.
So
this is my favorite one.
Yes. So I put that on, I put my legs up the wall, and then lately I've just been wanting to be with my breath and be with myself. So like, I'll just connect to my breath for 10 minutes and it's glorious. And I feel my nervous system calm down, because I think that's another big piece that we need to sort of focus on. Instead of just like eating fruits and vegetables and exercising, it's about calming our nervous systems. I think we've all had trauma and we sort of need to balance it out every single day. It's work. And so I do that. And then I just either put on a meditation. I love Abraham Hicks. Are you familiar?
I am. I've never listened to a meditation. Do they have guided meditations?
I listen, they do, but I listen to their
their podcast.
Yeah. No. So you just go on YouTube and you type in Abraham Hicks, and it could be, let's say you're struggling with your relationship, or you're struggling financially, or you're struggling with weight, or whatever it is. And you could just type in Abraham Hicks, whatever the thing is, and it will give you, they have like so many videos, of them teaching about certain concepts, and that just like puts my nervous system at ease. It just makes everything makes sense whenever I listen to them. So I've used that as a tool for, I don't know, maybe around 10 years. It's been a while. I've used Abraham Hicks as a tool mostly every single day. I wouldn't call it like a quote unquote meditation. It's more of like a mindset or energy attunement. Like it just tunes my body to the frequency that I want to be in. So I like that. Um, but I think the most powerful is when you could just sit with yourself and just be with your thoughts, because that's all they really want. And once you do that for long enough, then you realize that you can change your thoughts and you could direct them. And then when we change our thoughts, there's a book called Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life by Wayne Dyer, my favorite. And he talks a lot about when you change your thoughts, you change your life, because it goes from thought to feeling, to action, to the result or the outcome or your life. And so it starts over here. So let's say you're trying to change something in your life. What is your thought about it? Because then you have a feeling about it, then you do certain actions about it, and then you get your results. So you change the thoughts. And sometimes it's like, it feels weird because it's like putting on an outfit that you've never worn. And it's like, what is this? And you have to get used to it. And another tool is I like to work with my subconscious mind. So you can do that at night. I have a master class. I think it's called self-hypnosis. Yeah, something about self-hypnosis. And there's a practice that you can do at night as you fall asleep, and like think about your day and how you would have like wanted it to be, or something that you want in your life, but imagine like it's already here. Like how would that feel in your body? And falling asleep with that, because our bodies end up working on these things, these problems that we're giving it. Or let's say you have a problem at work and you want to solve it. Like you can actually tell your brain, like, I would love a solution in the morning. Like it's like these like little simple things. Or like, should I do this or should I not do this? And like allow it to filter through all of the things. That's another, powerful tool that you can do.
I like that, because that teaches you, well, first of all, that we have a lot of the answers already. And that's like that tapping into your own intuition, which is, that's something you have to practice for sure.
Yes.
I really love the legs up at the end of the day with your mask and your meditation. That is such a habit stack, because, and even with me, when I put my mask on, I'm like, okay, what else can I do right now? Like, it's definitely like, as a mom, we are short of time. And I think that is one roadblock mentally that people have to meditation. I don't have the time. I don't have the time for 20 minutes. I remember what was TM is like 20 minutes twice a day or something.
Yes.
Like, who has
Yeah.
the time for that?
Right.
But even like in
I
the
did
way
that for a while and it was not sustainable for me. Yeah.
right. I feel like, and in this time in our life, right? Like there could be another time where that is great and we have all the time in the world and we're retired and our kids are grown. But I think taking that pressure off of for me personally, of I have to do 20 minutes. I can just do 5 minutes
Yeah.
and have a benefit. Like
Yeah.
I don't have, whatever I can do is good enough. Doesn't have to be perfect. I talk about this all the time because I think that I have to be perfect to do it will just stop you from doing anything.
Exactly. And learning too much information about it is also paralyzing, right? It's the, what is it called? Analysis paralysis, right? It's like when you know so much about a thing, you're like, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to do it? Listen, if you've never meditated before, start with a 2-minute practice. I do love to do something in the morning and something in the evening. It does make a really big difference in and how you fall asleep, and then also how you feel when you wake up. So I like to start my day and then bookend my day with some sort of mindfulness practice. So again, like I mentioned, at night, I like to do the legs up, some sort of meditation for 10 minutes. It can be my own, it could be on Insight Timer. There's a variety of things on YouTube. And then I pair that with that self-hypnosis as I'm falling asleep, to just like feel in the feelings as I want them to be. And then as you wake up, you can just tie that gratitude list in. And then if you could just sit with yourself for like 2 minutes before the day begins And you could do this with your coffee. You can do this with a daily devotional. There's a book I read every morning that really connects me on a spiritual level that I just wouldn't be able to do by myself. So I love to read it. And it's called Jesus Calling. And it's a small little snippet that just like gets me like so right in the mind. And then yeah, you just sit with yourself and breathe. And there's different things. You can just like send love to yourself. You can give yourself some affirmations of how you want to feel in the day. If I have a busy day, I'm like, I want to feel energized and productive and calm, and like you can tell yourself these things, and so whenever you feel out of that balance, you could just bring yourself back through the breath.
So you talked about doing these things at night so you can, kind of end cap your day and it's a peaceful thing. But I'm sure this also really helps with your sleep. And I've heard you talk about sleep on your Instagram as well, especially post drinking, because we all know that alcohol really messes up your sleep. It is really not a great idea if you want to be a great sleeper and if you want to have quality sleep. So how has that changed since you stopped drinking?
Oh my God. Well, it's funny. I think people think that alcohol makes you sleep better, because it makes you more relaxed. But, there's been studies done that you actually can't get that full deep REM sleep that you would if you didn't drink. And so I was always a good sleeper, I gotta say. I know some people struggle, but definitely while I had my daughter, because she wasn't the best sleeper, and we finally are good now. But so I was definitely sleep deprived a lot of those years. And I think this was a big piece why I couldn't drink, because there was certain times, it was not a lot where I did. And then the next day with the sleep deprivation and then a kid wanting to play with you, that guilt and that feeling that it gave me, I was like, this has got to go. This is not
Yeah.
working, is not working. And I love to feel energized throughout the day. So my day is completely different if I have a good night's sleep versus if I don't. And so I really protect my sleep. I love magnesium. I love, like a nice long shower at the end of the day to just wash the day away and just all of the energies and reset myself, and skincare. That's part of my sleep routine. Um, all of those things. And then I feel like I've done it all and I could just fall asleep peacefully. And yeah, sleep is amazing.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, even without a drop of alcohol, I can have a terrible night's sleep and wake up the next day. I can feel hungover
Yes.
just because, like, and especially at 46, I'm not exactly, I don't
You
do
look
well.
amazing.
Oh, thank you. I definitely feel like I struggle without sleep. I've always needed more sleep than a lot of people, but when there was even just one night this week where we went to bed late and then my son had a tournament and I had to wake up at 5:30. And that day I was like, I'm struggling. Like I'm
Yeah.
really struggling.
What
And
was late? What time did you go?
so late for me isn't late for a lot of
Yeah.
people. It was like 11:30.
Yeah, that's late. That's late for me too.
I am really I get made fun of because even last night, my son got home from his baseball game with his dad and I was asleep. So I mean, I'm an early bird, but like I've realized over the years that that's how I am, that's how my body is. And I really have to, if I want the day that I want to have, I
Right.
have to get the sleep.
Yeah. And I think, that's why your skin looks so beautiful as well. I think sleep is such an important piece to healthy skin as well.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's
Yeah.
when our skin cells are repairing. It all happens at night. So I always tell my clients, like, get your good skincare on at night because that's when the cells are really using it and repairing. So yeah. I went through the same thing. And if there's moms listening with small kids, listen, that did not happen when they were little. I had kids who did not sleep. I had kids who had nightmares. I was constantly being woken up. But yeah, but add like having wine and then get
Yeah.
woken up in the middle of the night. It's
Right.
like, it's painful.
Well, I think, I mentioned my daughter was not a great sleeper, and in a way, looking back, it was such a gift because it taught me to go to sleep very early. Like there
Yeah.
was nights where I would be asleep by 7:30, with her because I knew she would be up 3-4 times a night. And so it's like, I need to get it, get this as much sleep as I possibly can. Now I don't go to sleep at 7:30. There might be days that I do go to sleep at like 8:30.
Mm-hmm.
I like to be tucked in bed with after all my things by like 9:30, perhaps read a book, fall asleep by 10. So like that is ideal. That's like the latest. But, being a party girl in my 20s, I was like, sleep, what is that? I would be up till whatever, 4 or 5, 6 in the morning and then sleep. I was a bartender too. So like then I could just go to work at like 3 or 4, like, and it was all good. It was a lifestyle,
Totally.
and so I had to completely change my lifestyle, also shift how I view sleep. And what helped is learning about it. I think anything that you are trying to improve in your life, I think if we have the right information, we can make a lot of changes in our life. So whether that's with wellness, whether that's with healing trauma, whether that's, right now I'm reading a lot of books on healing trauma, with different doctors and therapists and things like that. It just allows me to understand humanity a little bit different, and then also have forgiveness and understanding that things that happen, let's say, were not my fault. People are sick,
Mm, yeah.
like people have issues. It wasn't me, you know? And so it's just really interesting. Like I feel the learning piece in life, I'm just always going to be learning different things. And I love this day and age that we live in with the opportunities to learn are endless now. Like you don't need to go to college to learn something. Like you can just like teach yourself things that we didn't, our parents didn't have that. They couldn't hop on a computer or phone and learn certain things. And we have to also look at it that way too, that like we are given so many tools and gifts that we have to use them correctly though.
Yeah, there's so much. We have access to so much
Yeah.
information, too much sometimes. But
Yeah.
like, yes, if you want to, and that's the title of my podcast is Learning to Glow, because I'm never gonna stop learning. Like I'm doing this alongside my listener. Like I want to learn all of the things too, because I gobble it up. It's just so interesting, and I just want to be as healthy as I can, and you know also realizing it's not just like you said, it's not just the green juice, it's the
Yeah.
mental piece. And if you have that, like you're saying, working on something that happened and that's very traumatic, we know now because of research that is like stored in our body, that trauma and the things that we've been through can be really with us, even though maybe consciously we don't realize that. And that could have an effect on our health. So it's so connected. Like when I talk about things on this podcast that seem, well, is this really even a wellness topic? But it is.
Yeah.
And really keeping that mindset piece and like healthy mind and thoughts. It's so crucial to living that healthy and that wellness lifestyle.
It is. It is. And it's a gift to be able to do that. And I always say it's never too late.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have women, I coach a lot of women. I have a mastermind that I run with my co-host Erin, Sober Girls Mastermind. And a lot of women, will reach out to us and they're like, I just think it's too late, whatever, I'm 30 something or I'm 40
Oh,
something. Like it's just too late for me to begin to heal my body. And it's like, it's truly never too late. If you're
no.
alive, if you woke up today, but that just shows you how that mindset can really stunt your growth. If you're waking up every day thinking it's too late, then that's going to be your story and that's going to be your truth and that's what you're going to manifest. If you're waking up thinking today's the best day of my life, today is a great day to have a great day, what can I do today to support my body, even the littlest things? How can I, you know, what will make me happy today? It's a simple question. It could be going for a walk outside. It could be a moment to moment thing. And, not, you're not going to go your whole day thinking like, what do I do to make myself happy? But it's a mindset. you know One of my favorite things I like to ask myself is, how do I want to feel right now? Do I want to feel relaxed? Do I want to feel energized? Do I want to feel connected? Do I want to feel whatever? we get to decide how we want to feel. It's a state that we can connect to.
And that really empowers you, because then you can kind of take that power back of like, oh, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I'm annoyed. Like, I woke up with this, literally happened to me today, but I woke up with my kid's face in my face. That's how I woke up. And I'm like, okay, it's a cute face. I mean, let's be real. Like, it's a cute face. I can handle it. And I try to do something positive in my mind before I even step out of my bed. So I just want to like start the day off right. And I feel
Yeah.
like you can do something as simple as that.
Yeah.
And I think then you kind of, once you start those things, like you can always implement more, but you don't, like you said, like you're the client who said, oh, it's too late. Oh my gosh, how sad. 30s. Of course it's not. And, I feel like if there was someone, maybe what is someone listening who's like, okay, I want to start taking some of these, maybe a mindset piece or one thing that I can do in my morning, like what would you have someone start with? That's kind of like, I'm waking up in a bad mood. I'm like, my life sucks or whatever. What would you recommend to that person?
Well, you cannot be grateful and upset at the same time. So I think like if we're if we reach for gratitude in any state, if we're, something bad happens, there's always something to be grateful for. And we're only allowed to move through life in the way that we want if we are living in a positive mind state, right? So I think gratitude is one of the biggest tools that anybody can use. So it's like you can start a gratitude journal. You can write gratitude lists, 5 a day in your notes app. Or I have in our Sober Girls Mastermind, I created a tab in our app for gratitude. And every day we go in there and we say what we're grateful for. And sometimes it's as simple as like my coffee, my Uggs, going for a walk. And sometimes it's like, my gosh, my heart, my lungs, my feet, my brain, my bed, all of these things that we're, that we have health of our kids. Even though we're frustrated sometimes, if you really just like, look at how special each moment can be, and it truly can, and be so fully present, and allow yourself to get frustrated every once in a while, but then come back, come back to that state of how do I want to feel? So gratitude and asking yourself, how do you want to feel? Because it's all an inside game, and the rest will follow. Because when you tell yourself you want to feel healthy, you'll eat healthier. Maybe you'll go for a walk. Maybe, a podcast will pop into your ears like this one, and you're like, oh my gosh, now I have so many ideas, but make it actionable. So let's say you do listen to a podcast, like actually take some action after. Like, what are some of the things? Like, you could just let us know like what you're like excited to do. And also that accountability brings more momentum into what you want to do. So share that with somebody, with your partner, with your friends, like, and actually work on something every single month. Like, give yourself some, a healthy habit that you can stack on. I have a healthy habits guide, and you guys could get it for free. It's in my resources section, but it's building 1 to 2 healthy habits per month. And that's going to give you 12 or 24 healthy habits per year. If you compound those months and years, you will be on a completely different path. And, I think ultimately we all want to be healthy and sexy and beautiful and all of the things, because you have those choices. Do you want to be healthy or unhealthy? Again, both things are hard. The unhealthy is easy in the moment, hard at the end. The healthy is very hard in the, here, but then it's very easy at the end. So we have to choose.
So rewarding. So
Yeah.
I feel like I relate to so much of your story, and just obsessed with all the same things you are. So I could talk to you for hours. You're going to have to come back, and we have to do this again, because there's so much more that we could dive into. And I love all the tips. So please share this with a friend if you're listening, because this is a good one to take away. So let us know where everyone can find you. They're going to want to come and see you and learn more about what you offer.
Awesome. So you can find me. I love Instagram. So at Health with Michaela. And my website is healthwithmichaela.com. And then I'm also on Two Sober Girls on Instagram as well.
And you have 2 podcasts. So I'll make sure to
Yes.
link all of this for everyone, because if you're listening to this, you like podcasts. So check out Michaela. That's how I found you. And just thank you so much. I'm very grateful that you're here and that we were able to make this happen. I'm so glad that you were able to come.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please subscribe and review so we can reach more people who want to learn to glow alongside us. See you next time.